In this video, I'm going to show you a permaculture explosion that happened in Namibia called the Living Earth Expo that I was invited to and I was very fortunate to attend. I am going to show you what our plot looks like or our farm looks like with a week of rain. Hopefully some before photos as well. And then I am going to tell you why I actively try to drown myself and why I suggest you do the same. Let's go. So let me show you what we do 12 o'clock at night in Namibia. Monica, what do we do 12 o'clock at night in Namibia? What did you do?
We are chasing the thugs.
You are chasing the thugs.
Coming from my farm and I saw 3 guys with backpacks and I'm like, one of my sheep maybe are in those bags. Let me follow these guys.
And so, Monica got herself very stuck. I wish I could show you this. Let's show you. Ah, there you go. Monica, much better light now. There you go. So Monica's chasing the thugs and then she got herself nicely stuck here in the river. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, lady all by herself chasing the thugs. I don't know. So she's stuck there on the rear bumper. And then I went to go collect some of her workers and they are helping us fixing it below. The wire, because that little bolt there is missing. We had to fix it with wire. Now I'm gonna pull her out. Right, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Let's go wake up the kids and let's start the day. This is how we do it, yeah. Morning's here, the morning's here, get into gear, morning's here. Hello, Dano. Hello, hello, Mika. Hello, Bugsy. Ben. Morning's here.
Hate that singing guy!
Are you kidding? I love that guy.
Morning's here, morning is...
Stop it! I will kill you.
I load the kids up in the pickup 4 o'clock in the morning. Are you ready?
Yeah!
Are you ready for Windhoek? And let me tell you the story. So, a couple of weeks ago I got this SMS and it went boop. You know, I can't do the editing thing, the text messages editing thing yet. I saw your videos on YouTube. And I wrote back, boop? Oh, cool. And he says, yeah, you're one of the crazy people. And I said, boop? What do you mean? Are my boobs still synced? I'm not sure. Anyway, so, he asked, do you know there's other crazy people as well? There's a permaculture thing happening in Windhoek. And I want you to come and enjoy it with us. Come and meet us. So, we woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and we have no idea what to expect. We're going to drive 250 kilometers south to our capital, Windhoek, and I will take you on a journey with me to meet these crazy people. So before arriving at the Living Earth Expo, I had an idea of what it's going to be like, and boy was I surprised. A couple of things that really stood out to me is that first of all, there's a lot of people that care about the earth in Namibia. Not all permaculture people, but there's organic farming people, there's the worm farming people that I'd never heard of, that do very similar to what I do with the red wiggler worms. There was a hydroponics guy that I had a nice interview with. There was the Organic Organization of Namibia, that's 150 people strong. I had a nice interview with them, and those videos will be posted to my YouTube channel. There was a company called the Kambashu Institute, and they do very similar than what I do in the location. They are doing on a big scale in Namibia, funded by overseas money, but they've got 150 farms. I'm speaking under correction. I'll have to check but 150 food circles, 150 families that they are working with in a constant basis, teaching them how to work in an organic and a permaculture way and turning a township green. And that is spreading as well. Got a very, very nice interview with them that I hope to post soon. The racial diversity was also quite interesting to me. Normally, when you go to something like that, or most of the festivals that I go to, it's only white people that arrive there, or only black people. But you don't easily go to a place unless it's state funded that is so diverse and so many different races and tribes that's involved in organizing and putting up places and giving talks and so on. There was one lady specifically in the Combustion Institute that I don't have in the interview, but I saw her in a talk later on, and she had she started, her house burned down, she had nothing left, and then she met this lady, and this lady taught her how to plant spinach, and she started planting spinach, and she became the spinach lady, Meme Spinach or something like that. And she built herself up and built this whole community, and now she's planting food all over the place, and she's earning a living from farming in the township, which is very impressive. The flies, obviously, which had a big impact on me. You probably saw that interview already from Oliver Bowser. My kids ended up playing Pokemon in the lecture with the kids from some of the organizers and some of the moms from the Combustion Institute, and the kids had a blast. One of them became sick, so that was quite a thing. We were burned in the sun. It was extremely hot, so we loaded up 7 kilograms of flies and drove back with a sick kid in the back with these flies. So every time they would open the window between our cabin and their cabin, the smell of the flies would hit us, and we would close it again, so they would only be the ones sitting in the smell of the flies. And we stopped at a petrol station, and the flies were hot, so I was covering them and whatnot. So one of the petrol attendants came, and he was interested, and I showed him, and he called another one, and the other one came, and he became so nauseous so quickly. By seeing these flies, you could see his whole body shivering when he realized these are fly larvae. Anyway, so that was very funny and very interesting. All in all, Living Expo was definitely worth the while. I wish I had more footage and more things, but I spent most of my day interviewing the exhibitors, and not enough in making footage of the story that was around it. So we've been receiving rain for a week now. We're a week into the raining season, but we only had a running on the ground rain, like water actually moving on the ground once, and it filled up these berms. It actually broke that little berm there later on, but it's filled up this whole area here, and then went down, filled up that whole area, and worked exactly the way it was planned. Filled up all these mulch pits, and so this is what the land looks like now. After that, we only had 1 ml here and 2 milliliters here, and so just enough to keep the ground wet, which is very nice. So this is our papaya patch, and so I think I have some before footage that I'm going to put in here. You can see they are growing nicely. Between them we ended up planting corn and corn and corn. My wife says, just please stop planting corn, but they are growing everywhere. There's some tomatoes as well. That was one of our previous attempts of keeping something alive here, but here you can see corn and corn and corn. And so the reason why I'm planting so much corn is because it might work in dry land. It might work just with the rain, and if it does, then we get a lot of harvest. If it doesn't, then we add a lot of biomass to the soil. And the other thing that we planted quite a lot of is cowpeas. They might also be able to give us harvest, or they might be able to fix a lot of nitrogen. See that little papaya broke in the wind. And okay, so this is the papaya patch. It grew quite well. And okay, so this is the prickly pear area coming around. You can see there's corn planted between them. We actually planted native plants and watermelons and things between them, and then the sheep came in, destroyed everything, ate all the new growth from the prickly pear. And I want to see if I cannot break the sun here, but I think it might have actually been a good thing, because I was too sad to remove any new growth, but they say you should take off all the fruit. And so I couldn't get it over my heart, but the sheep didn't care. They did it, so it gave the root systems a chance to grow. Then we have the vegetable garden. I'll walk in there now. It's a forest, and butternuts. I don't know if you can see butternuts everywhere. Okay, so this is the vegetable garden. We harvested loads of spinach. I know it doesn't look like there's any spinach in here, but we harvested loads of spinach. There's a tomato there, butternuts and butternuts and butternuts, and harvested loads. I had to go to South Africa the other day, and my wife sent me a picture of the harvest. It was very, very nice. You can see anything, everywhere you open there is pumpkins and butternuts, and the tomatoes are coming along very well. And so we didn't give anything to the orphanage yet. We ended up giving it to our staff first, since they were the ones that broke their backs here. And so we've been eating, and we've been handing it out to our staff to take home. See, a healthy tomato. Everything is so healthy, I cannot believe it. And we only sprayed wood vinegar. We didn't use a drop of poison. Wood vinegar. This one has been chowed by something. They explained a very interesting system to me. So I wanted to give them bags filled with butternuts, and then they explained to me something called black tax. And they say if they go home with all of these butternuts, then the next day they will have nothing, because they will have to share with their families. They will have to share everything, and it's a nice idea. If you have two of something and your brother doesn't have anything, then you give him some. The problem is the next day then both of you have nothing again. So instead of handing them bags, we now ration them and send them home with 1 or 2 every day, just enough to feed their own wife and kids. Butternuts, so they can be healthy, but not enough for the black tax thing to kick in and for them to have to support the whole community. More spinach. Spinach, my one daughter has got iron deficiency, so spinach obviously works wonders. We do give her tablets as well, but the spinach is a fantastic thing for iron deficiency. I cannot even get in here. You cannot imagine that spinach grows so well, even when it's almost completely shaded by other things. See there on the fence, there's more things growing that went over the fence. Just pure abundance. Check here. Time for another harvest again. And so this is the vegetable garden. Let me show you the food forest quickly. Okay, so this is the area where we are building the food forest. And we had that one flooding event or raining event where the water ran on the floor. So look what's there. It broke the wall there. Then it actually filled that bottom pit for a couple of days, and I was afraid that it will drown the tree. So we ended up building another pit here in the sandy soil, and that will sink in the sand quite drastically. Now the sheep has been kept away from here as well, obviously, now for the last 2 weeks. So the grassland has come back. I'll show you that now. You can see the lemon trees, the moringa. Let me just zoom in quickly. Moringa there, lemon tree there, everything has come back. This is now a week. I don't know if you can see the flush of green, and all of these little pits is either corn or beans. So as I said, it's okay if we don't get a harvest, but we're gonna add a lot of biomass to this area either way, whether we get a harvest or not. You can see the land is returning. Now this is just this is called an enki. Very similar. The name is derived from onions, but it's not edible for us. For the horses, so you can eat it quickly. But it's just a green flush. It's not a perennial thing. These are grasses. They will grow up strong. I want to see if I cannot return them for the time being until the forest shades them out. Keep the sheep out. That's the main idea here. So the zai pits, I was actually scared that the corn will drown, but here you can see they came up strong. Lots of clay, big clay content here. So they were underwater for a couple of days. You can see the corn, happy corn there. And so a couple of days ago, Christy collapsed on his way to work. My garden engineer, and he had some medical issues that he didn't want to tell us about when he started working here. And luckily Matthias was there, took him to the doctor, and he's getting the treatment that he needs now. And so we have to, those ones have been planted, but they haven't been finished yet. They haven't come out yet because the rain wasn't enough yet. So Christy, the idea was to do this whole area here. I hope you can see it with the sun. Let me just turn my angle a bit. To do all of this in zai pits before the rain season is over, and it might still happen, but for now we have to give work to Christy that's not as hard on his body. So it's gonna break our productivity a little bit. But with permaculture, the people care, I believe, comes before the earth care, and if it doesn't, then it should. But so caring after Christy is then more important than my little zai pits, and making sure that he then gets healthy first before we break him. These ones have been planted. You can see they are growing like crazy. So this is all corn and black-eyed peas, or cow peas, and so they are growing. Here's some trees. Let me show you some more trees. There's a mango peeking out there, and loads of trees planted. This was originally supposed to be this. That's a the names are missing, but it's a tree, and supposed to be only Lucina and Moringa for the kids to play in. Then the sheep destroyed those dreams, and then Christy decided no, it should be fruit, so we planted fruit trees. So there's a lot of fruit trees hiding behind and between these. This is there's a couple of papaya and a couple of mangoes and a couple of lemons and things like that. And then there is still the moringas. Yeah, let me tell you about my failed fly attempt quickly. So the idea was to have the larvae in that greenhouse. We open it on both sides so it's cool there, and we actually produce quite a lot in our garage beforehand. Then we place them in these buckets here, and we gave them water in there, and then we gave them a laying bucket there. But I placed plastic around them for the rain, so when the rain comes they are closed with plastic. What I forget is, if you forget even for an half an hour to open the plastic after the rain, then the sun comes and it makes an oven. So we do have flies and they might still live, but that's definitely not the ideal system. They will not make it long term in there, and they will definitely not produce the way they have to. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money on this wonderful idea of this beautiful fly cages, and it's a failure. So you learn. I think in Namibia the flies might actually survive a bit better with mostly shade, even though I wanted to give them sun so they can be healthier. Let me just check the camera angle quickly. Okay, so I'm running. I want to tell you about the time that I actively tried to drown myself and why I think it's important for people to know and how it relates to all of this. So, as most of you know, I grew up as a very conservative Christian, which I think I still am, in a small farmer school. I remember I was actually sitting outside under a tree and having school, and we were 5 children, and we made up the majority of the school, or a big percentage of the school. We didn't believe exactly what they believed in, but they didn't want to kick us out because we were a big revenue to the school. My children wouldn't be allowed to attend today anymore because of my beliefs. But anyway, so once a year we had this thing called Van Riebeeck Dag. It's very similar to Columbus Day in America. And so we would celebrate Jan van Riebeeck arriving at Cape Town, and we would do all of these sports. And most of it was around building ships and celebrating him arriving on a ship. So our origin is Dutch settlers, the Huguenots that fled Europe for religious purposes, Protestants, and so that was basically the formation of my nation. And so we would celebrate this, and so we would make up these fake Dutch names. The Dutch people got surnames that's based on something they did, like a carpenter or something that they are. And I think there was a time when they forced the Dutch people to make surnames, and so they chose these ridiculous things. So there was one called the Wuggenboezem, high breasts, verloren van tomaat, lost tomato. And so we would be shared into these little groups, and I was part of the lost tomato group, the verloren van tomaats. And so before we started these sports, at this stage I was about 7 years old. One of them was building a raft and then going on the swimming pool, and so I was, screaming the chant and doing the things and wearing the colors, and it was just the team fever just builds up on you the whole day. You are having this competition, and so we built a raft, we won the competition, and the next one was a relay swimming race. And so I took my place in this line, and everybody was all fired up, screaming. And so when they jumped out and they touched me, I ran with all my might, did this mighty dive into the swimming pool. But what I never told the teachers and never told my teammates is that I had no idea how to swim. I was just so excited to be part of this. I believed that I would figure it out once I'm in the water. And so as soon as the people realized it, the big kids jumped in, the teacher started screaming, big kids jumped in, they rescued me, some other kids jumped in. And so I actually tried to drown myself there, and it actually made the party quite fun, because now all of a sudden it's no longer a swimming race, it's everybody swims, the big kids jumps in and other people jump in just to be part of it and to sort of say they were part of the rescue. And I thought about it on my way to this Living Earth Expo thing. It's one of the stories that came up to me. And Môre Emmanuel, hoe lyk dit nou? Lekker. So Emmanuel's just arriving to work. And so I wanted to bring that back to permaculture. Now, it's not a perfect analogy, but I want you to sort of stick with me. And I jumped into permaculture without knowing anything. And without even knowing there was people in Namibia, I couldn't find them, and that had the same interest as me. Whenever I speak about permaculture to my friends or to my family, you can see the glazing over of their eyes. My sister that lives on the farm next door, she's quite keen on permaculture, and my mother, her father was very keen on this sort of thing, and my mother, she's keen on it, but everybody else, and we're a very big family, they just sort of glaze over as soon as you talk about anything like this. So I'm definitely the crazy one in the family, being interested in these sort of things. And I jumped into permaculture not knowing how I'm going to survive. And what was different from the situation of just diving into the swimming pool, not knowing how to swim, and diving into permaculture, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, is that when I arrived and I started with my permaculture journey, the big kids was already in the swimming pool. They were waiting there for me. So when I arrived at the Living Earth Expo, I realized, my wife said, now you found your tribe. I realized the big kids are here, they're catching me. They are welcoming, and it gives you another perspective on the whole thing. And so I want to invite people to jump in and start. Obviously, don't leave work and don't be irresponsible about it, but start, get your feet wet, plant a tree, build a swell, dig a little zai pit on your land if you can. Just start. The big kids are waiting there, trying to catch you. And the teachers are screaming, and if you jump in, there's a lot of other people that's just going to jump in just to be part of the party as well. And I've only been busy now, actively. I've been dreaming for 9 years about this. I've only been actively busy now for about 4 months, I guess, 5 months maybe. I don't know when the first video was published. That I said, I'm going to start doing something now. And financially, it hasn't been easy, but the amount of people I meet and the amount of new experiences I get from just jumping in and doing it is definitely worth the while. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed my drowning my story. It is a very common theme for me in my life to keep on trying to drown myself in various different ways. In fact, when I became a dive master, my mother, when she heard I'm going to go be a dive master now, she started crying. My sisters told me this later on, because she said this guy has tried to drown himself so many times in his life, jumped into so many waters without being able to swim. Every time just believing he can do it and just somehow not dying. There was always somebody there to get me out. That when I became a dive master, she started crying. So, but that's a story for another day. I forgot to ask you to subscribe. Do that. That's a good thing to do. Subscribe to David the Good. That's also a good thing to do.
and have a wonderful day.